Okay, good evening. This is the Raleigh Board of Selectmen meeting for June 3rd, 2019. Meeting's being audio and video recorded. I'll call the meeting to order and ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have public comment from 7:05 to 7:10. Our first and only appointment tonight is with Larry Berger of Pink. Larry's here, but this doesn't start until 7:15. So I'll take up general business. General business number 1, invitation to attend the Raleigh Girl Scouts Bridging and Award Ceremony on June 14th, 2019 at 7 p.m. The Board of Selectmen have been invited to the Raleigh Girl Scouts Bridging and Award Cemetery on June 14. Please let Debbie, Amy, or Natalie know if you're able to attend.
I won't be able.
I won't be able to.
Out of the country.
I'll try to be there.
I'll be there.
I'm not sure, but I'll try. Someone's got to fill in for Joe.
General business number 2, request from Highway Surveyor Patrick Snow to appoint Laurent Ronay to the position of Highway and Tree Foreman, and a request from the Highway Supervisor Patrick Snow to lift freeze for the position of Cemetery Supervisor and Highway Equipment Operator and Highway Truck Driver.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just as a comment to make, I'm currently the chairman of the cemetery committee. Laurent, or Larry as we call him, has been working over the cemetery now for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I'm not sure when he started, but he's done a fantastic job over there. He works 4 hours for the cemetery a day and 4 hours for the highway, and then during the winter and summer he works more for one than the other, but it's a nice dual position, and he's just been an outstanding employee. And he has initiative. He's good with the public. He's handles all the burials and figuring out where the graves are and so on and so forth. So I just want to give him a public comment on that. And I know we're going to be posting the position. Hopefully we'll get somebody that can do the job like he has. But he's really been a godsend for the cemetery department.
Okay, good. It's good to hear. So can I hear a motion to appoint
Make that motion.
Second.
him to the position of foreman? Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. And we also need a motion to lift the hiring freeze for the following 2 positions: Cemetery Supervisor and Highway Equipment Operator and Highway Department Truck Driver.
Give me that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. General business number 3 is to send a thank you letter to Richard Karam for the donation of Town Hall Monument shrub trimming. Before Memorial Day services, Richard Karam donated his time to trim the shrubs in front of Town Hall. Dave Peterson has requested that the Board of Selectmen send a thank you letter to Mr. Karam. Attached is a draft of the letter. Selectmen will need to vote to approve the letter.
Yeah, Mr. Karam. Mr. Chairman, just to let you know, I got a call from the Karam family on the morning of Memorial Day, and Richie Jr., who does landscaping. In fact, I think he works for a couple of town departments too, doing landscaping in town. But anyway, he requested permission to trim the shrubs out front because they were kind of growing into the monument, so I said absolutely, go ahead. So he really did a nice job. He worked about 2 or 3 hours out there to get that done. They really, really look nice, and they're all trimmed.
Yep.
Perfect height and right around the stone. So that's just a thank you to him, and if we can write him a thank you, that'd be great. I'll make a motion to
I'll second that.
approve that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Bob?
Certainly.
General business number 4 is a request from the Neurofibromatosis Northeast to hold the 9th annual Coast to the Cure NF bike ride on September 14, 2019. Please see the attached request from Neurofibromatosis Northeast for the annual Coast to the Cure bike ride. Come through Raleigh on September 14. The Raleigh roads included are Cross Street, Central Street, Bennett Hill Road, Weathersfield, Independent, Summer Street, and Main Street. They have confirmed their route will not cross or go over onto Route 1.
Give you the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion to approve the tour has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. General business number 5 is to review the road opening permit applications from National Grid to open the following streets. 1 Leslie Road, a turnoff from Haverhill Street, 28 Forest Ridge Drive, 26 Forest Ridge Drive, 33 Emily Lane, 15 Daniels Road, 57 Summer Street. Road opening permits were signed off on by the staff for the location listed above. Anyone have any comments?
No comment.
Okay, it takes care of general business.
Your
Public comment?
public comment is.
Public comment is open for the next 5 minutes. New business. Sign contract with Okers for Rowley Community Media new video equipment for Town Hall. Please see the memo below from RCM Director Janet Morrissey. The HD upgrade of Rowley Community Media equipment at Town Hall will bring the TV channel and RCM site to current technology standards. Verizon has included a HD channel in last year's contract, and Comcast as well. This improvement will greatly improve the quality for viewers. The upgrade will include 3 HD meeting room cameras in the Selectmen's office, a production switcher in the basement, and equipment used to broadcast to Verizon and Comcast television channels. RCM is looking forward to providing the best quality programming possible. Thank you, Janet Morrissey, RCM Director. Funds for this upgrade are coming from Article 16 of the May 6, 2019 Special Town Meeting. $70,000 was appropriated from the Cable Fund. We are purchasing equipment and installation from Okers Company through state contract OFF 40 in the amount of $64,227.50. We need the Board of Selectmen to vote to approve the contract and authorize me to sign the 2 originals.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion to approve the contract has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, new business number 2 is a letter from Merrimack Valley Planning Commission regarding the 2020 pictometry program. Attached is a letter from the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission regarding an upcoming flight in the spring of 2020 for the pictometry program. The town participated in the last flight that was done in the spring of 2017. The cost for the 2020 flight is $9,748, which can be made in equal installments in FY 21 and 22. The Conservation Commission voted on May 28th to recommend the town continue with the program. The Board of Assessors, Planning Board, Health Department provided the attached written comments that they would like to continue with the program. Matt Brown and Eric Grover from the Light Department told Amy that they would like to receive updated images. Rob Swiniarski of the Water Department said that he uses the images, but they are not the Water Department's main mapping system. He indicated that he would like to expand their mapping system using this imagery in the future. Pat Snow of the Highway Department said he uses the imagery as well. The board wishes to participate in the FY20 flight. Please authorize Chairman Pierce to sign the letter from MVPC. We will need to seek funding in FY21, FY22 for this flight. The Board of Selectmen should consider requesting the Light and Water Departments contribute a portion. Would the board like office staff to work this out with these departments based on their anticipated uses?
I'll give you a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve the funding and join the program for this next year, and to ask the 2 departments to, if they would like to contribute.
Right.
and authorize the staff to work on it.
Right.
I'll second that.
Motion to approve the contract and request staff to work out their role in the contract that's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. New business number 3, to approve contract with Human Resource Services for pay equity gender analysis study. Debbie has received the contract with Human Resources Services for the pay equity and gender analysis study that the town needs to do to comply with the Massachusetts Pay Equity Act. Debbie's asking the board to vote to authorize her to sign the contract. It was prepared by HRS and lists Debbie as a signatory.
Mr. Chairman, this is just a continuation of the updating of the personnel plan and the state requirements for these plans, so I'll give you a motion to approve.
Yeah, I see that the upper limit on the contract is $6,000.
I'll second that.
The motion's been made, approve the contract's been made and seconded. To authorize Debbie to sign has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. New business number 4 is a letter from Fire Chief James Broderick regarding storage of the Massachusetts Department of Public Health Radiation Control Program at the Rowley Fire Station. Fire Chief James Broderick has been approached by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health to store their radiation detection equipment at the new fire station. Attaches a letter from Chief Broderick and a draft letter of agreement between the town of Rowley and the Department of Public Health. Does the board have any objections or concern regarding this request? If there are no concerns, the board will need to vote to enter into agreement to authorize me to sign the agreement once it has been finalized by staff. I'm going to read Chief Broderick's letter. Members of the board, I have been in discussion with the Radiation Control Program of the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. They are inquiring to store their radiation detection equipment at the fire station. This equipment would be used in the event of emergency at Seabrook Station Power Plant. There will be no source material radioactive stored with this equipment and consists of 3 totes that will have a computer, cell phone, trickle charger, and personal protective equipment. The chargers will keep the computers and cell phones charged. This equipment is currently stored at the Salisbury Fire Station and have recently been moved to less than ideal storage. I have found a place to store them in the new building that will afford a place that they can easily retrieve them without interfering with our operations. I have enclosed a letter from the Radiation Control Director, Mr. John Priest, Jr., and a draft agreement letter for you to read. If you have any questions, I'll make myself available to discuss this with the board at your earlier convenience.
Well, it's nice to know we have a station that can now store some equipment which we never had before, so I'll give you a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve the contract has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, we're close enough. Okay, we have a 7:15 appointment with Larry Berger. Larry, how you doing?
I'm well, and yourself?
I'm well. To discuss the following Pine Grove School project items. Pending, number 1 is pending change orders. Okay, first on the agenda is the reconfiguration of the main entry drive per option A. So we've, as I think the board is aware, that drive has to be reconfigured as a result of a design flaw. As it was currently built, the road was too narrow and the radiuses were too short for buses to egress and ingress. As a result of that, on the first day of operation, they had to rip it up, and it's been sitting like that since. So the first change order is for $75,000 to fix the entrance to the site. I asked for a letter from Tom Mullen on this because I thought it was a design flaw, and that what we would do is, in this case, is to approve it, but pay with a change order, but also that we would expressly reserve the right to pursue a claim for such sum against Doran Whittier for the design flaw, for correcting the design flaw. And that's what Tom Mullen has suggested that we do. He says he says in his opinion it's a violation of the standard of care, and that we should do that. He recommends further that the board authorize me to write a letter to Doran Whittier, putting them on notice of the town's claim. In addition, as to the said sections 4.1 and 4.4, I will also cite 4.9, which obligates the designer to be liable for all damages occurred as a result of their failure or the failure of their consultant to meet the applicable standard of care, and section 4.1, which obligates them to indemnify the town against such damages and costs. So this is where we are. We want to proceed with the construction. However, we want to do it under protest, essentially, and that we will consider taking action to make ourselves whole for this failure to comply with the standard of care.
Mr. Chairman, does this include, when you leave the school, the sign, Pine Grove School sign, I think that's going to be replaced anyway, but there's also a telephone pole that was placed right beside the sign that greatly impedes your visibility to the north. I go in there quite often with the Parks and Rec situation over there, and just to check the area, and it's just, I think it's dangerous. I think if we can, as part of this, move that pole to a location further back, probably, I'm not sure, I'm not an expert on it, but I think
As part of the corrective work, the new pole would be moved approximately 12 feet
okay.
to the north.
Yeah, all right, that would be good. Yeah, it's just, when the new sign, when the new sign goes in, it's gonna be a little further back, or?
It can be positioned anywhere in the island.
Okay,
That
so
has not been
enough, so there's,
that has not been determined.
Okay.
The whole design of the sign is in its infancy right now. But the setback of the sign, will be taken into consideration with line of sight. But again, as part of the corrective work at the entrance, which will include increasing the radiuses on both the north and the south side, the pole needs to be moved.
right, okay, very good.
And because it's off the state highway, we have received approval from the State Department of Transportation.
Correct. The final geometry has been approved by Mass DOT. So in terms of having the right to go out into the roadway and install the new curbing, that's all been approved, as well as the line striping that is associated with it.
Following Tom Mullen's recommendation, I'd like to move that we approve and pay the change order for 70.
Under protest?
Yes.
Yes.
For $76,000 approximately.
Yeah, I'll second it. I mean, definitely the work needs to be done.
Yep.
Fight about paying for it later, but
Yeah.
we definitely need to get that work done.
Can I ask a question? Out of which, we have two funding sources under the project contingencies. One is the owner's contingency, town's contingency. The other is the general contractors, or the CM's contingency. The CM was originally proposing to take these funds out of his contingency. I just want to understand, because I need to do paperwork on the back end for the actual change order. If it comes out of the town's contingency. Currently in the town's contingency, there is
$786,000 available of contingency money.
How are we doing, Larry, with overall staying on budget with where we currently are in the project?
We are on budget, you know, as it relates to line items. The general contractor has been drawing against, you know, his contingency line item, and then we have had contingency events, the glue lamps and the termite failure. We had some other issues related to moisture mitigation of the floor slab. We elected to change out the transite portion, the remaining transite portion of the water line several months ago. You know, to date, we have you know 5 change orders that total $685,000 on the site. The one major event was the whole termite mitigation. You know, that was upwards of $400,000 between the millwork portion of it and then the structural retrofitting of those glue lamp columns.
They come out really good. So does that mean that we already spent 600 to 700 left? Is that
correct?
what I gather?
We've spent $685,000. We have $786,000 remaining. In terms of upcoming events against the contingency money, we had a condition at the curtain wall at the south wing that wasn't built to the drawings by the original contractors, and we've had to retrofit, or will have to retrofit, and it's being priced. The steel that supports that new curtain wall, it's 2 stories. It's the transition area between the east wing and the south wing. That's been allocated for about $25,000 right now, and I don't have final costs yet. But we do have that event, and we have the possible event, but we're hoping not. We're going to test it now that we are getting into the east wing. For all intents and purposes, demo started tonight. Fill everybody in on at the update portion, but for moisture mitigation, the groundwater and the water table is fairly high throughout the site, and we've had in both the north wing and in the south wing water permeate up through the ground and have high levels detected in the concrete floor. And so as part of the elements that make up the final MCT linoleum floor that we put down, we leveled the floors, but we leveled it with a product that provides a moisture barrier, and that, you know, came with it at an additional cost.
Okay, so with respect to your question, I thought it was supposed to come out of the construction manager's contingency.
Well, I want to understand that that's where you want to draw the money from, out of the CM's contingency line item.
Right.
May I make a comment?
Sure.
So first, I think it's unfortunate that we're taking this tack, but so you're making the claim, or potentially making a claim, that this is all a design-related issue. I don't believe that's the case. And I think that's been open for discussion as part of many of the working group and committee meetings that we've had. So just for the record, I don't believe this is entirely related just to design, and I think Larry will support that. And then I think with respect to which pot of money you're going to go and take that from, if you intend to go and take that from the CM contingency, I think that discussion should be had with the CM, given the fact that this is taking on a little bit of a different spin in terms of how you're approaching this. And I guess one other comment, just for the record. So, do you know about what the percentage is for designer errors and omissions is on this job, Larry? Roundabout?
I haven't boiled it down.
I think it's less than 0.5% on a $22 million job. And so,
Well, actually, it's 30.
pardon me?
The construction's
Well, yeah, $30 million.
30
job,
million,
sorry.
all in.
And so when you talk about, the level of design-related issues on this job, it's exceptionally low, exceptionally low. And well below industry standards, well below other school projects with the state through MSBA. So I find it very hard to understand, quite honestly, when we're talking about bringing a job in, okay, a very complex renovation job I'm at, it's 6 phases, right? And we're bringing that job in what is going to be under budget, on schedule, with less than 0.5% of designer-related issues, that you're talking about making a claim. I find that very, honestly, I find it a hard pill to swallow. And I think that this team, right, that we've had, has been working exceptionally well, right, to go and make this happen, really playing as a team sport. And I think when you talk about this, and you're bringing this up, and basically you're saying, we'll throw that all out the window, and we're going to file a claim. Well, it's America, and you certainly can file a claim. But I also know, and very familiar with the standard of care, and the fact that we're running at less than 0.5% on a complex renovation job is well within the standard of care. And so, obviously you can do what you want, but I just felt the need to say that.
Mr. Chairman, just a quick statement. I'm sure that the project overall is within whatever the standards are.
Right.
I'm not that familiar with it, but I think common sense in looking at the entrance to that building, and I drove a school bus for a number of years, and with the design, the original design, there's no way you can make those turns without going in the opposite traffic, whether it's on 1A or whether it's you turn into the school and have to wait for cars to come out so you can make the turn in. I mean, whose fault it is, I don't know, and I think what we're saying is that that'll be determined at a later point. We need to get it fixed, but I'm not sure whose fault that is, but just looking, the day I went down way back when and looked at the curbing when it was initially, I went, oh my God, there's no way the buses are going to make that turn in and out. So whose fault that is, I don't know.
Which is
but
part of, why this isn't all designer related. But Dave, I understand that, but
Yeah.
construction is not a perfect business.
No, I understand.
Right? It's not. And there are going to be mistakes made along the way, and that's what contingency is for. That's why it's there. So I'm not here to change your mind tonight, okay? But I felt it was important to make that statement, because I think, we're very close to trying to get this job wrapped up. And this job has gone exceptionally well. I think the product that everybody's happy with. I don't think anybody's disputing that. And I think it's a shame. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Get back to your question.
Yeah, I just want to understand how to set the paperwork up and move it forward, that's all.
Okay, I thought it was construction manager contingency.
Okay, I just,
What is the difference between?
I don't know, that was gonna be my
Well, I
next
mean,
question.
What's the difference between the two contingencies?
the CM, as part of his guaranteed maximum price, has a contingency. Conceivably, if he went through his contingency and still needed more, and it's nothing that he can point to, the condition at the building, something that didn't work in the drawings, that's his cost to cover. He's the construction manager at risk, and, we gave him, as part of his project, a part of the budget, a pool of money to cover when things went wrong that he was not able to foresee, that might have been bought wrong. They had some timing issues, and they needed to, put the left foot in front of the right foot rather than the right foot in front of the left foot. Had to take some things apart internally to move the project along. As Brad said, we've got a very complex project. We have a lot of existing conditions that don't necessarily match up with the as-built drawings or the building drawings that we have, or are just things that were done totally different than anyone could ever imagine. And those are things that are fought on a daily basis out there. But in terms of the contractor's contingency, if he uses it all up and he still needs more and he can't point to the town and the documents and say, you need to pay for it because, I don't have any money, but it's not our fault. He has to get it internally from, his existing budget.
Well, I guess, Mr. Chairman, my concern with this is that the construction, you say the construction manager, that's the construction company?
Yes, that's,
WT
So I mean,
WT Rich is the
if the construction company built the entrance according to the plans, I don't see that we, I mean, is there a disagreement about how it was built versus the design?
There is some of some of that. There's
There's both.
So it's a little more complicated than.
There are a lot of things that didn't go right, and we have some coordination issues.
Okay.
We have some liberties that were taken in the construction, and where it all brought us to where we are.
So with keeping that in mind, sounds like it's gonna be a little more complicated than what we first started out here at the beginning of the meeting, so, I just, what I'm concerned about is if we get down to the near end of this project in August, and the construction manager's funds run out, we're gonna have a problem, right?
Well,
We could have a problem?
No, I mean, he's, as part of, dealing with the issue and what has transpired to get us here, he's offered to take the repair out of his contingency funds.
Okay, so he's aware that we're doing this?
Yes.
That we may do
yeah.
this.
Well, he made the initial offer to pay for the repairs out of his contingency money. Now, in terms of the money, it's all the town's money.
Well, no, I understand.
What
I just don't wanna run into, near the end of the project, we all know that all of a sudden something's found to be,
So that's not gonna happen.
that's not gonna happen. Okay.
we're at
That's my
70.
concern.
We're at 71%
Yeah,
of construction right now.
okay.
We started the last two phases. We have 5A and 5. The only difference is the 2 weeks the school is still in session. We delivered phase 4 a day early.
Okay, no, I just had some questions and concerns.
Sure.
I'm trying to get an understanding of the situation more than anything else. I'm not
No.
pointing fingers or anything.
No,
I
I
just
We're
wanna
here
make
fill
sure
in
that the project gets done.
all the scenery necessary.
It's trying to play this as a team sport.
Right.
Right, so that the CM is trying to help here.
Right.
If this is a design-related issue, it's really not eligible for contractor CM contingency. Because CM contingency is related, construction-related matters. That's what I'm saying. If we're gonna go down this path, technically that may change how it's approached. If we're trying to go and do this in the best interest of Raleigh, which I'm still trying to do, notwithstanding what we're talking about, right? It's ultimately in your best interest to take it out of the CM contingency.
Okay.
Right? Because that money is, if you have money left over in that bucket, you're going to go and have to go and give it back to the MSBA as well. Right? You're going to take that pro rata. If you take it out of your contingency, right, it's a little bit different game. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm trying to help you.
No, I understand. I think I got a much better understanding of what's going on I did when we started, so I'm satisfied.
Okay. Okay, Dave, your motion was to approve?
I didn't make a motion.
Oh, I
I
thought you
My
did.
motion.
Okay,
think it's
sorry.
Joe's motion.
Okay, you want to make your motion again? I don't think it was seconded.
I move that we approve the, get the wording here. Based on Tom Muller's letter,
Okay.
that we approve and pay the change order for $76,000.
Under protest. Right.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion to approve it under protest has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Bernie?
It seems to me that there's an unspoken or ill-defined issue here in terms of what the net benefit to the town is of which contingency fund it's taken from. And I'm confused as to which of those is best for the town. If I understood, the initial statement is that if it comes out of the contractor's contingency, then whatever is left in that contractor's contingency goes back to the state?
The state,
So I'm
the
just
state
confused
pays
as
part,
to-
the state pays part of it, is the contractor's contingency is subject to state reimbursement. So that if there's money left over, then we have to give money back to the state if we didn't spend it. So what
Right,
this,
but we're taking the money out of that, so.
yeah, so if by taking the money out, then there's less money there, so we were less liable for giving money back to the state. And I think, and it's probably much more complicated than that, but I think we're settled as far as,
So, I'm confused. If you guys feel confident about
yeah, I mean.
everything's pluses and minuses, then that's fine. But I'm confused as to what the pluses and minuses.
Basically, what we're saying,
are.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chairman, is we're gonna fix the problem and then argue about it later.
Yeah.
That's
Well, that
basically,
makes
that's
sense.
basically where we are. Now, where that ends up in September, October, November, whatever, I don't know, but at this point, we need to fix the problem, and whether it comes out of the contractor contingency or ours, to me personally, doesn't make any difference, but if the contractor's willing to assume that, and everybody seems to understand what the situation is, then fine, let's go with it, get the job done, and then at a later point, if we determine that we need to fight over it, we'll fight over it then.
Is
At
that-
least it'll be
is that-
done.
Is that your view, Larry? Is
Yes.
that the best step? Okay.
So,
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna fight it.
no, we're kind of between a rock and a hard place, and we'll see where it goes. That's all, we just wanna get the work done so that it's corrected, that's
Right.
the big thing.
Yeah,
And there is money available to fix it, one way or the other.
okay, I need a motion to recommend further that the board authorize Tom Mullen to write Dorn Whittier a letter putting them on notice of the town's claim.
I'll give you the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second? Second?
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Okay, we have a list of change orders. There was one, basically we went through this list and we left most of them out, right, Joe?
Correct.
We decided we didn't want to do them. I'm looking for the one that has to do with the sidewalk.
I was gonna say, are they widening that sidewalk?
No. On the right-hand side?
Yeah,
No.
like when you're from the crosswalk to
Is
the
it the
school?
North Wing Road,
No,
Lost Loop Island?
it's, the value I think was 44,000.
44, yeah.
I didn't bring, yeah, that was the sidewalk from the,
Is that from the crosswalk to the front of the school?
Correct,
Because that's
yes.
so narrow.
it's a 5-foot sidewalk, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it?
The issue has been, and only when cars back into the space, they use the
Back in
curb
there, yeah.
as the chalk block
Yep,
for the rear tires to know that they're
right.
there.
I thought we
But
did
if
that
you
picture.
pull in normal, if you pull in head in,
Your car's not going over the curb.
Correct.
I'm there every day. And there's kids like on bikes. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, so, both the committee, the building committee, and the working group recommended against this because of the cost, right?
Right.
correct. In order to rebuild it, we have to take the whole thing apart. What we thought was a better compromise, and we also had conversations about impeding the ability to clear snow and toss it up and over the sidewalk. So we talked about and dismissed adding, say, a wooden fence, guardrail type of situation, adding wheel stops within the spaces, sooner than the
Right,
curb.
so they can't
But
go
it creates a problem when you're plowing in the winter.
Yeah.
You lose your ability to take the long pull
Right.
from
There's
from
nowhere
the
to
front.
even
So
put it.
what we're going to do, you can get they make these fiberglass yard markers that landscapers use all the time to delineate,
Right.
where
Right.
between paving and grassed areas, and those can actually be driven between the hot top and the back of the curb.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to back in, they can bend it without damaging their car, but they'll know that
That they hit it.
they've come to it, because I won't say 90%, but a good portion of cars now have cameras in the back.
Right.
So they'll see the stick, and then if these break, they're all of maybe $3 a piece.
But it
So
was-
it's a much more economical solution, and we don't need it the entire length. It just need one at each parking
Parking space
space.
that is right above the sidewalk.
Correct. Yes.
It was my understanding, though, that out of this list of 12 items, that outside of number 1,
Yep.
there were only the north wing gate.
Yep.
There was only one other item that we agreed to.
I thought we had agreed on the gate, expanding the
The bus loop?
The gate, adding the curbing at the slope granite curbing at the rear the rear of the east building, so that the plows and/or emergency vehicle could hop up to get onto the new service road that we're installing to get around the
Right,
building
okay.
and to around the back playground area.
Right.
We talked about we were going to reconfigure that last island to facilitate coming around with the buses. That the first slot in the row of 9, the first slot is a little tight for a bus to pull out of and make the swing around. It can be done, but it needs to be done in 2 motions, not one continuous motion around.
Okay, so that's the bus loop island and curbing changes for 28,000.
Yeah, change the signature. Sorry. Thank you.
Sure.
203.
The bus loop island right
Yeah.
there.
So 203, 193, and 192?
203, 200. And the North Wing Road widening.
Right, which is
Yeah.
$20,000.
Correct.
So those are things that Joe and I can do in our own authority. I think
Yeah.
we don't need a board vote on that. But I wanted to point out that in discussing the various change orders,
Correct.
we decided, or we left open the possibility that we would buy a Kubota for the school, so they could use for snow plowing purposes.
Right.
If there's money left at the end of the project, that's a possibility. Because some of these things have impacts on snow removal.
Right. I did point out to Patrick Snow, the Highway Department, about that we just couldn't handle the flagpole access and reconfiguration for the cost of
And
just under $100,000 was.
just so everybody knows, the list was developed in reaction to a variety of people bringing comments
Right.
back, whether to the working group, or the school building committee meeting, folks, and we, you know, we looked at them and tried to assign dollars, and utilized our site contractor to come up with, you know, these, say, menu options, and we identified those that we thought were very necessary to, you know, to maintain, you know, proper circulation through the site.
Okay,
And then there was a couple of late adds, like the gate, to control
right.
access into the bus area.
Now, I understand that we approved the work on the highway at the entrance.
Yes, you have.
So
Yep.
that has to go ahead because there was somebody was saying that the lead time on some of the curbing or whatever was 6 to 8 weeks.
Correct. There's.
So there's some urgency there.
Yeah, oh, yes, and it's not, it's not falling on deaf ears.
Okay.
Just a question on the basketball court
Yeah.
paving. Well, what is happening there with the basketball court? I know that's supposed to be an area for the kids to congregate if there's an emergency in the school. It used to be. I don't know if that's still the
It
case.
still is.
It still is an area of refuge.
Is that gonna be able to be plowed by the highway? Looks difficult now.
And I'm not sure where things will settle out, but this particular season, the school was able to, you know, share the use of the, I think it's a Van Tech. It's a sidewalk,
Well, the one
snow
highway
plow.
Yeah, from the highway
Yes,
department. Yeah.
and they, you know, and they.
Okay, so
they
in other words,
utilized-
you
that was-
worked it out.
That was utilized to clear that particular area. The Kubota that Cliff mentioned, you know, could do or would do this the same thing.
Right, okay. Very good.
So the idea is we'd save money by not doing the asphalt to the basketball court, and not doing the
Correct.
central curb, making that island, making that smaller,
Right.
keep it the same,
Mhm.
and we'd get by the Kubota for that purpose. I mean, it's the general.
Yes, the dollars would swap, although there'd probably be a savings for the site work against the cost of the equipment.
Anyone have questions?
We have another issue to,
Yes.
I've got to admit that I had this explained to me and we went through the issue and I am still having trouble squaring it away.
Which,
The niche engineering,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
the replenishment
Yeah.
fee. I understand the replenishment fee, but, you know, run me through that one more time.
Sure. The, when the project was originally envisioned and pricing was obtained to do the different elements of the project, I believe they go back to 2016. And the site work was not fully defined, along with some other things. There have been additional services to Dorn Whittier for things like hazardous material testing and the ongoing monitoring of its removal. One of the items that was not part of the original services, and it's not in the contract as part of basic services, was to do the filing to Mass DOT for the entrance, because we really didn't know if we were going to change the entrance or not. We were not, in the end, not utilizing the second egress, but the whole issue of changing the primary. Didn't come up till much later, when, you know, we were getting into doing the construction documents. And in the contract, it's not listed as a I shouldn't say allowable fee. It's not listed as a fee mandatory to the preparation of the documents. And that's why we have the additional services request. In monitoring the invoicing for other work, it was thought that we had enough money left in the budget of one of the other niche line items. And in the end, we won't have that luxury, so that's why the request to add those dollars.
2,860.
2,860, correct. Because, and then what that will in turn do is generate an amendment to the Doran Whittier contract for that, which then goes to the MSBA and is part of a budget request for reallocation. The money for that 2,860 will come out of the soft cost contingency line item for the project. Currently, there's 600 and $605,000 in that line item to cover that expense.
Okay, so you're saying that our document, our contract doesn't define basic services to include?
It doesn't include that particular,
Okay.
and that scope wasn't identified at the time of the original contract.
It's basically an allowance associated with permitting, right? This was something that exceeded the allowance that we have in the permitting, that's why it's an allowance, and that's what that is.
I move we approve.
Okay.
You want to do that under?
Sure.
Okay. I move.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, third is a general update. Also, there's an invoice in the amount of $7,500 from Triton for reimbursement of Aruba WAPs.
Yes.
WAPS.
WAPS.
What are Aruba WAPS?
Aruba is the trade name, and the WAPs are wide area. They take electronic signals and feed it to your laptops wirelessly.
So why are we reimbursing Triton for this?
We had a situation on site where product went missing, and it was at the time of the turnover, and I authorized the replenishment of the missing product.
The project went missing, the stuff went missing?
It was,
This was a portable piece of equipment, presumably.
well, it's not, they ultimately get affixed to in this particular case, the ceiling. They could be wall mounted, but in the ceiling of all the classrooms, they're on the wall in the AP room. There's a device that captures the signal and sends it around, so there's no dead spot. So it's like in your house, your wireless network, rather than having you'd have a router and I'm not the person to really explain the technology. It's at about 30,000 feet, and I live at about 8,000 feet. But it allows wireless communication of computers and, you know,
Throughout the school.
your phone. Yes, throughout the
Okay.
phone. The school has a series of computer rooms in each of the wings, and that feeds signal.
All the access, so they all
Correct,
can
correct.
get on their signal for
Yep.
their stuff.
Yeah, with their Chromebooks. And
Yes.
It's a security feature into the internet, WAP.
That's to secure the wireless.
I believe it's a security feature into the wireless.
I've always known them as
Somebody's.
No, it's not us.
not me, God. That it's part of how the signal's carried. For wireless, it's a wireless access wireless access point, I believe is the definition of.
And these are
that.
on the wall and they all
These,
purpose room.
they're in the, they clip into the ceiling.
Okay.
They, you know, it's part of a hardwired network, but
Right.
it transitions from the hardwired to the, to wireless. You know, the unfortunate part is the original ones went missing.
All of them?
No, not all of them, because a lot of them were installed.
So the ones that weren't installed went
Correct.
missing? And did
Missing
it get
meaning somebody
reported?
took
Missed, you know,
Or either lost or
they're
someone
lost,
took
they got
them?
thrown out, they were, you know, I'm not looking to blame anybody. I will say they were not in my care and control.
Right.
You know, I just was up against a situation where I was at turnover.
Yeah.
There was room in the budget, and I made the decision under the delegated authority, which was granted to me
To make
by the board, to replenish them.
So you don't think it got like stolen? Maybe it got thrown away.
They don't really, you know,
How big are they, Larry?
they're, excuse me?
How big are the units?
They're about this big.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
like,
so they're
they
small.
look like small plates. You know, they have dimension to them.
Well, at this point, Triton bought the new ones, or replacement.
They're installed, correct, they're
Installed.
installed, they're installed.
We may not be happy with it, but I don't know what choice we got, do we?
Yeah, that's too bad that happened.
We have a choice?
The wireless application protocol is a technical standard for accessing information over a mobile wireless network. A web browser is a web browser for mobile devices such as mobile phones, uses some protocols.
And I believe it's what all their Chromebooks,
Yeah.
they're able to get their data from their teachers directly
'cause they're all
to
logging
the
right
Chromebooks
on.
without having wires to all the desks where the kids are working.
Oh, wow. Isn't
There's
it crazy?
several
It's crazy.
features besides WAP in order to put the Wi-Fi in.
Well, yeah, there is a whole structured cable backbone to this whole thing. You know, if you look at, say, the ones that are affixed to the ceiling, there is a cable that connects to it, and that cable runs through additional cables all the way back to.
No, I'm talking about the protocol, there's several devices to do these protocols, besides WAP, there's WAP, I forget.
Yeah, I mean, you go into
Four
the
different
you go
types.
into the IDF room and you open it up. You know, first of all, the room has its own air conditioner, and then to keep it cool, and then it's several towers of switches and ports.
Amazing thing is when these break 10 years down the road.
Oh,
You know,
goodness.
It's
That's not gonna happen.
it's a whole different language.
Yes,
I
it
don't
is.
all I understand is I don't have internet. You know that I understand, and then I make the calls. The in or out and the ins and outs of how they're configured and everything else. I am here, and it is way above my head.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question, if I may ask Mr. Berger. So originally, this happened in February. And,
Yes.
The town was never notified of any of this until it came in on package 33, where you had put Triton Regional School District as a vendor tied to a $7,500 bill, but had a CDWG invoice in there. And I presumed, not knowing, that it was just a typo on the transmittal sheet, and I said, I think you mean CDWG. And you wrote back and then first alerted us that, no, it's for Triton, and I said, well, I would need an invoice. I'm trying to track the purchase order. So we had originally had a purchase order for $7,500 for these, or yes or no, or where is that? And
They were originally purchased in the early technology purchases.
so we
that-
had paid $7,500 for this equipment, it
Cor-
got delivered,
the-
you checked it, and it came in, and it was reconciled with the PO. Then you issued a directive to Triton without alerting your 2 points of contact with the town of Rowley on any of this, and they were not aware of this, and ordered more equipment, replacement equipment. So are we now paying twice for this?
In essence, yes, because the
So I
original.
think that fact material fact needs to be brought to the board's attention, and it has not been from Pink and Company at all in
Okay.
any communication.
Well, I'll leave it up to, you guys are on the committee, so you
I-
kind of direct us where you want to go.
I
guess.
would agree with what Debbie just said, that, but the items that were, they were not received in the proper manner under Pink's, or, I'm not sure whether it would be W.T. Rich or Pink would be receiving
We
articles
made,
for the construction.
we made a decision early on because of all the multiple deliveries, the things that were going on last summer on site, that all the technology went to Triton. And then, because ultimately Triton installed it. We purchased it, but Triton installed it at their expense. The project did not pick up any of the installation of all these switches that we've purchased, as well as the WAPs. Those are something they install. We've assisted in the process. The only thing the project has paid for is the structured cable throughout.
Okay.
So these 20 items were received, but were lost.
I think then the Board of Selectmen would need to take a vote then to pay the $7,500, because if you're replacing, you've already paid this
Right.
once,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not been presented, I think, clearly to the Board of Selectmen. Certainly not to me until I started asking the questions, that this has not been brought to the board's attention. And I'm sorry, it should have been immediately when this happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You want to make a motion to
I'll make a motion to pay the $7,500.
second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Stuck.
Aye.
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 All right.
We're stuck. I mean, it's not, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
There was a
It's kind of,
mistake,
we're
yeah.
between a rock and a
I
hard
mean, it's a
place.
mistake that they got lost,
I
but it
think the
wasn't a mistake that
procedure
they
is-
weren't notified.
Poorly handled, obviously,
Should
but
have been notified, yeah.
Yeah.
if that's the only thing we lose off the project, I guess we're lucky. When you look at all the stuff that's over there. Any other cases of missing stuff? Okay, good.
Okay. That's
And
all
we're
I have.
into the
Anything
final
further?
phase, and,
Actually,
Phase
I
four
have one more.
completed.
I have one more pricing
oh,
that
sorry.
that I've gone through with Joe, which was, we had a request for a second fire hydrant on site,
Mhm.
and the pricing for that is $132,000.
What?
Who made that request?
The fire chief.
Fire department.
Fire chief.
You made it now?
He's
Yeah.
just now requesting.
Well,
Well, if I could just, I talked to Chief Broderick, and the problem is that if we do not put a hydrant out by the north wing,
The proposal is to put it by the entrance to the rec,
right,
the town's rec fields.
if we don't put that in, and if there is a problem out by the east wing, and he has to lay hose from the hydrant, which is out at 1A, or is it,
No,
it's in the parking lot.
There's a hydrant, yes, there's a hydrant at 1A down by the daycare center, and then we have, there is one on property that is the other side of the roadway at the entrance.
Okay,
So the entry, the travel lane and what will ultimately be the circled area where the flagpole is in the center, there is a fire hydrant there. It's also where the original fire hydrant was.
Okay, so if he has to lay hose from that hydrant to go all the way out to the end of the east wing, or to go over to the south wing, then that is going to lock off all of that area of the building. Nobody will be able to get through from, to the back end of the building. The buses won't have access, or any vehicles, because of the hose laid
Well, they're not
from the
gonna be going
hydrant.
back there if there's hose. If there's a fire there, the buses aren't gonna be coming in and out anyway, right?
Well,
I mean, we've had the school here for 40 years or 50 years. I mean, the school, we haven't added to the building. Building's the same size as it was prior to this project. And all of a sudden, we need another fire hydrant for $130,000.
Wouldn't that have been mapped out in the beginning?
I mean, that's a heck of a sum for one fire hydrant.
Yeah. No,
It's-
it should have been.
It's
It should've
approximately
been.
400, it's 380 plus feet.
What's an 8-inch water main?
It, we have 8-inch coming, but the fire line would be 6-inch.
Geez, down to 6-inch. It's
Yeah.
how many feet?
380 feet, give or take a few feet.
depending upon how the rest of the board feels, so I would recommend that we put it off and ask Chief Frederick to come in. Unless you're ready to,
Well, I guess my only question is the school's been there for all these years. There's never been an issue. Now all of a sudden it's an
Well,
issue.
we've
Is there
never
some
been
sort
able
of
to
a
get out
safety
to the,
protocol we don't know about when it comes to, placing fire hydrants around a school. There may be something that's changed here, a safety condition that, is now something new. And usually fire standards change all the time, so this may be the situation. So probably I would defer to the fire chief on this.
Well, I don't know if I would, I mean,
Well,
I mean, unless
I'm
you
just
think
saying, let's check and see if there's,
Can we
Yes.
have him come in?
yeah,
I don't know if we have to come.
You know, $130,000 is a huge sum
it is, yeah.
for a fire
3
hydrant.
months
That's what
before.
bothers me. I mean, we're talking,
One,
if it was 10,000 or 15,000, I'd say, all right, fine.
How much for the material alone and how much for the digging?
just bear with me. Part of it is we're digging through part of the road that we already put in as binder.
Oh, yeah, no.
We were, there's not enough room between, we kind of sacrifice. If we ran in the area behind, tried to run behind the sidewalk that exists up against the building and came around the back that way, we'd probably lose the sidewalks. If we have to cut some of the binder of the road that,
So
is currently there, it's less expensive to do that than to
You
do.
have pavement, you're gonna have to make saw cuts,
Correct,
Mm.
correct.
and then you're gonna have to heat treat.
No,
in
well,
order to put the-
right now, we're just a binder. We don't, there is still,
This is the binder, not the finish coat.
correct, no, there is no finish coat in the,
How much binder do you have to remove?
couple 100 feet by,
4 feet probably, right?
yeah, at least, because then we're into the dirt. It all relates to the depth of the line and the area. that
When
you
did this
need.
problem develop? Just recently? I mean,
We-
I don't
the-
understand
the-
why it
the-
wasn't seen back when
The,
we had
the,
all
the request
plans.
was about maybe a month ago. We've been working hard to work the costs down. The costs initially were in excess of 160.
The chief brought it up well after the initial design, right?
Yeah, it was, I think it was at our last confirming all the options as it related to the entrance. It came up at that point.
Yeah.
So, when the design phase of this, in the beginning,
Mhm.
okay, they looked at the whole building in placing all the fire protection and everything else, this is an afterthought.
Correct. It's a request for an additional hydrant.
So it wasn't brought up in the very beginning, nothing, just all of a sudden, a month or two ago?
About a month ago.
Yeah.
I don't recall in the early discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't either.
and Joe was, we've had various working groups and everything else. I mean,
Yeah,
we,
that's a lot of money.
yeah,
And, you know, this is an afterthought.
Well, I think my concern would be, I mean, Joe talked about vehicles driving over the hose. I mean, it's, if there's a conflagration going on out there, my guess would be that there's not gonna be any vehicles going in and out anyway. Is there enough, with the hydrant lines, with the hydrants that are available, each hydrant has 3 connections? I mean, I'm not that familiar with the
Yeah,
way.
well, you'll
Yes,
have,
yeah.
you'll have 2
You have
outs.
a
You'll
left.
have 1 in and 2 outs on a hydrant. You have the main line going to the fire truck,
Yep.
okay? And then you have 2 lines going out from
yeah,
the
to feed the
fire.
pumper and then.
And then you gotta feed the pumper, and then you got 2 lines also going out from the hydrant.
Mhm.
So, in the building,
Yeah.
is there also fire lines going into the building where there's, usually you'll see, in the building, you'll have a 2-inch or, I'm sorry, 3-inch line,
Standpipes?
yeah.
There are no standpipes in the building, although the building is sprinkled.
See, that's
We don't
it.
really,
The building's
we
gonna
don't-
be sprinkled now,
we don't-
so
we
I mean,
don't-
it's,
we don't have-
that makes a
tip-
big difference.
Yeah,
typically
the
you'll
whole
have the
building is
standpipes
sprinkled.
in stairwells,
Yep.
and all the stairwells are fairly active.
I mean, having sprinklers makes all the difference in the world.
Yep. Well, we have, where is the main fire hydrant again?
It is,
By the front of the building, right?
it's in the front of the building across the road.
How many feet is that from the building?
From the building, maybe 150 feet. Do you remember what the depth of the road is? The road is roughly 65, and then we have, then we have, then we have the depth of the new entry plaza.
The fire engine's gonna park between the hydrant and the building.
Yeah. And then you're gonna
It'll feed the fire engine, and then,
So that, then you're gonna.
I just
feed-
think with a tire,
off
if the
off
building
the-
wasn't sprinkled, I'd say
engine.
do it. But with a sprinkler system, and I worked at BU in the physical plant, and when the sprinkler goes off, man, there's water, and there's water everywhere, and at high pressure, so I mean, I just think that, for $130,000, it's just, I mean, and to not have picked this up before, it just, to come out of the blue and say, oh, wait a minute, we need a hydrant here now, and I know I went to a couple of those early meetings when we talked about the access of the fire department around the back of the building and being able to go all the way around and having all this other stuff done, and to not look and see where that other hydrant might be needed is just, it's not good.
Bernie?
Yeah, it seems as though if this is a contingency because you don't want buses to be running over the hose, then that's a standard contingency wherever you are with fire protection, because the hydrants aren't always on the same side of the road as the fire. And there are these heavy-duty bridges that fire departments have, which essentially go over any exposed hose.
Well,
It seems to me that there's another alternative than kind of
if there's a
creating
major
fixed
incident, the fire alarm's gonna go off, the
Right.
students are gonna go to their pre-designated area. They're not gonna be getting on the buses behind the schools. If anything, they're gonna get on the buses out on 1A.
Nobody's driving through.
Or at St. Mary's, depending on, I mean, you know what I mean? Unless the fire alarm or the explosion or whatever it is happens right when school's getting out, there's gonna be no buses back there.
Right.
And the kids are gonna, and at that point, you're gonna get them away from the school anyway. The buses are parked relatively close to the school. You're
Nobody's
gonna,
driving in there with a bus.
no, and the buses are
The fire
gonna,
chief takes complete command of the situation at that point.
Right, but
But you are going to limit the ability for anybody who is parked in that area that is right outside of the school building. Not the lot down by Route 1A, but the right where the, right at the school, right where the handicap parking lot is, right where the principal parks, in that 2 rows of parking. None of those cars are gonna be able to move.
They're not gonna move anyway, mostly. If there's a real serious fire, they're there till the situation's cleared out. I mean, nobody's gonna be driving away from the building when the fire's going through the roof or whatever.
No.
I mean, to me, it's a question of if they can get sufficient water back there with the hydrant that's there. I don't see vehicles driving over it as being a problem.
During the fire, the most powerful person in town is the fire chief. He is not gonna allow anybody
No.
to move.
Any vehicle
Yeah.
in the lots are gonna be
Yeah.
there, and the kids are gonna be away from the building, down by the basketball court or out in the ball fields, wherever they've got their emergency evacuation areas set up. They will then file single file if they need to wherever the buses might be out on 1A. So I just, maybe we have the fire chief come in, if he can come in and convince us
Yeah.
that he's,
Yeah.
that he needs is. The only thing is, I think we need to make a decision fairly quick, obviously,
Correct.
because if we gotta dig up the parking lot or whatever, then you gotta be able to do that.
Well,
Relatively soon.
the,
If you put a
Yeah.
shovel on the ground, it's expensive to dig. You have to make a lot of saw cuts, you have to come back.
Digging stuff that's done. It's
Hmm?
already been,
Yeah.
it's new. Digging through new stuff.
in this particular case, it becomes the route chosen is the least invasive to what's been put in place, but it does, it does impact the binder coat that we've been riding on.
Larry, if we call the fire chief in for the next meeting, can you give us a pencil drawing, I'm not looking at anything fancy, of what the site plan looks like and where the hydrant would go in relation to the building and where you would have to dig to,
I have it in my
so we have a complete picture?
Yep, I have
it right in my folder.
I have a, I thought I brought up.
Oh, it's all right, we don't need it tonight anyway,
Okay.
but I mean, if we, I think we should have the fire chief in, and if he can justify it, then,
Yeah.
if he convinces us that we need that for public safety purposes, I don't think we have a lot of choice, but it seems to me that, it's kind of real iffy in terms of being a need.
Again, there
Coming up
might be
now.
some standard that we don't know about.
That's what I'm saying,
He can come in and
if he's
tell
got a
us.
standard, he should come in and tell us.
We should know about it before now, if there's a new standard.
And he had all kinds of time in the planning stages to lay out what he wanted for fire protection and access around the building. I remember we spent a lot of time on that, with, putting the road in and having some, whether it would be gravel or paved, or there's a lot of discussion on the fire access around the building. So, I'd recommend we have the chief in next
Yeah, I
meeting.
think that's a good idea.
Calm the contractor down. Enroll into just the update, we've got less than 2 weeks of school left.
Yeah,
Um,
well, we gotta make a decision next meeting.
And,
one way or the other.
Our next meeting is on the 17th.
Yeah, and at that day, we're gonna close the site again, to everybody. And just, be running 2, possibly 3 shifts. At minimum, we will run 3 shifts when, we're in the abatement program, that we're gonna need, in the facility. We will definitely be running, a morning and a second shift at night, for the remaining trades. The number of days on the calendar are not, believe it or not, are not as long as what they were for some of the other phases, that we've been able to complete. Yet we have, twice the work. A little different dynamic because it's now an unoccupied building again.
Have you been involved in any other projects similar to this in scope where you've had to place another hydrant in a similar situation?
Yeah, I have not had, personally, a lot of projects with, with site work, in a school setting. I've had site work as it relates to commercial setting, but not in a school setting.
You looking at me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's not a code requirement for it. It's up to the authority having jurisdiction. So, it's the chief. And, we did spend a lot of time on this. I don't personally remember that hydrant out there as part of the discussion. But, the chief's the chief, right? So I don't think it's a code requirement thing. I think it's what the chief wants and what he thinks is in the best interest of the project. So, I do know that, we did spend a lot of time on it, and there were plans that were developed, and they were submitted for review, and they went to lots of different people to go and look at. So, I don't know.
Have you ever come across anything like this before?
Yeah, I have. I don't think I've ever been on a job where we've been trying to close out a job where the fire department doesn't come through and say they want stuff. Happens on every job. So, it's not a surprise to me.
I think it brings
And I fully expect that we're gonna have other things that are probably gonna creep up like this too.
What concerns me is you're talking 750 or whatever it was for the contingency. If we take 130, assuming that the 130 is an accurate figure,
It is, yeah.
now we're down to 600,000.
In you have two contingencies. so-
650.
I understand that, but we're gonna take 75, the contingency concerns me greatly, because usually as you get near the end of the project, and I've seen it with the police and fire up there, all of a sudden little things are popping up here, there, and everywhere. And
What's their total contingency right now?
680, 685.
Between both CM and?
Oh, no, no.
No.
685 and 642.
And you have over $1 million, you have $1.2 million in contingencies in on this job.
I think we need the fire chief.
3
to
months
come in.
ago.
Yeah, we need to.
We definitely need him to come in and talk to us. I think that if we need to do it, that's fine, we need to do it, but I think we definitely need to have him come in and explain what happened between the beginning of the project and now to suddenly require this fire hydrant.
Would you allow me to go to my folder and get the drawing?
No, I think we just wait for the fire chief to come in. I'd rather do that, Joe.
Okay.
I'd like to hear from him at this point.
Yeah, we do.
I was watching, I apologize, I was watching from home, and I was at the soccer field on Saturday, and I just happened to notice there's a water outlet at the back of the field, next to the shed.
Oh, that's the well for the irrigation system.
Okay, and that couldn't be utilized?
The
No, not for fire.
the flow, you won't get the pressure or probably the flow rate that's
No, we're
necessary.
putting a well in to irrigate the fields out there, not on town water, so that's not
Yeah,
gonna,
okay, well,
Yeah.
that's not
That-
acceptable at all. You need a big line for fire hydrants or a sprinkler system, so.
Okay.
Well, you need Prospect Hill for the fire system.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter whether it's 4 inches or 8 inches.
So we get a drawing, Larry, just as, or if you got one, Joe, we can see. For next week, or next.
Yeah, no,
for 2
I
weeks.
and I thought I had my route
Just so we
drawing
can
with
get
me.
a good handle on where it's going and what's happening. That would be my request anyway.
Yeah.
Mine too.
You need a motion or?
No.
No, I'll just invite the chief in.
For the 17th? Yep, I won't be here.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Update.
Get out while you can.
What?
Get out while you can.
I guess like we're kind of given a scattered update.
Yeah.
But I guess the important things are tomorrow morning kids will be in the lower south. Teachers use the rest of today to unpack from the move from Friday, and we've started demolition in the west side of the east wing and the gymnasium. Well, and on the 14th we'll take the whole building.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll get done in time.
We've made every date as advertised, and
This is like
we don't expect to to differ for the last phase. But it will be a challenge.
This is like a mini version of the Big Dig, when you're going in and trying to run a program completely while you're doing complete renovations and all those
Yeah.
stuff. It's just,
Yeah.
it's and I give everybody credit that works on it. It's an impossible project, and you guys, it appears anyway, at this point, that things are going along pretty much on schedule, which is a plus.
In terms of that, they are, and then, we're also hoping that, we're into the portion of the building that was the last to be built, so that the
Okay.
construction is
Exactly.
a little more accurate than,
Okay,
than
good.
what we've experienced in the two other phases.
Just if I could offer one comment, that most of the teachers had to make a move out of their classroom into another area for a temporary area, and then they're back into their final classroom. We have one teacher who's on the building committee, Emily, and she had to move twice, or actually, she had 3 moves, and she is back into her final classroom in the Lower South. And I've walked through the Lower South. They did a fabulous job there. The design has been great. Really beautiful job.
No, I'm done.
Okay.
Unless you have questions.
No, I think we beat on you enough.
Thanks, Larry.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Larry. Thanks.
Thanks,
Brad.
Okay.
Take care now, have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, update on intersection of Route 1 and Central and Glen Streets. Bob Snow attended a Metropolitan Planning Organization meeting last week and will update the board.
It
On
is
this
in
agenda.
District 4, and it is still in the design phase, and that's all I can tell you. And I just continue to be asking the questions. You know, where is it, and when is it gonna be out of the design phase, and where is it going to be, in whose hands, and
Yes, those things are time consuming, there's no doubt
Yes.
about it.
Okay.
and remember, that we're one of many.
One of many problems.
Okay.
We've been able to move up the chart to get it done, that'll be
That's
good,
right.
because it's, you put in the queue and you don't know
Bernie?
where you're gonna end up.
Right, and it seems to me as though that's a particular tricky intersection, and it may look different in 2 dimensions than in 3 dimensions, and it seems to me as though some of the people who regularly use that intersection, I don't, but there are people who regularly use that intersection, from whatever the most dangerous side is, which I assume is coming from Glen, that they could have some input at some point in looking at the design review. In other words, we don't want another entrance to the school issue where it becomes obvious to the people who use it. So in this instance, where there's going to be a lot of money put in and a lot of at stake in terms of the risk mitigation necessary, that some local people with local knowledge might be involved in some kind of design review process.
It is, this is gonna be by District 4 over in Arlington, okay, Mass Highway. And when I go to these meetings, it's not just Mass Highway, it's Federal Highway. And everybody is talking about, this is about a $2 million project. We're talking multi-million-dollar projects all over the Northeast, besides this particular. So, and in the list of all the transportation items, I mean, it's pages long. And again, we're discussing a $2 million project compared to everything else. And I'm the squeaky wheel.
Will we have an opportunity to comment on the design?
I'll ask next meeting.
Yeah.
I believe we do.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we could serve that function.
And the other thing, Mr. Chairman, people need to understand that they use this intersection, just because we're putting a light there, doesn't mean there's gonna be no more accidents. The worst intersection in town is 1 and 133, where there's lights and turning lanes and everything else. That still has the highest proportion of motor vehicle accidents in the town.
I got
So-
clobbered there.
So just because we're putting a light up there doesn't mean that everybody's gonna stop for the light or
Well, yeah.
use the
Yeah.
light correctly, and just keep in mind that it'll help, but it's not gonna totally correct the problem.
Yeah, I was making a turn off of 133 and this guy right
Yeah,
through
I
the
mean,
red light.
People on their cell phones and
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
problem.
texting and, yelling at the kids in the back seat, and, all these kinds of things happen, and, so just keep in mind, it obviously will be a nice safety change, but it's not gonna completely solve the accident issue.
Okay, update on fire and police station project, attaches a draft invitation to the ribbon cutting and open house for the public safety complex to be held on June 22nd. The selectmen will need to vote to approve the invitation.
Yeah, the committee met and we approved this basic wording. There's gonna invitations going out to the various surrounding towns. Both chiefs are inviting surrounding chiefs. There'll be some refreshments and tours of the facilities will be available. And, hopefully it's a good day. That'll make all the difference in the world. And that about it, Debbie? Is there anything else? I'm hoping.
We'll be
Drafted
inviting,
by the chiefs and
Yeah.
edited slightly.
we'll be inviting state rep and.
Yeah, we're gonna invite Brad Hill and Bruce Tarr. I think we sent one to the governor or whatever that was, We'll try to keep the speeches to a minimum.
Okay, so this invitation looks good? Looks good to me.
Yeah, anybody have a problem? I think it's in color too, right? The one will be in color.
You need a motion to approve?
Yes, I do.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Second.
invitation.
Motion to approve the invitation has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The contractor, old business number 3 is the annex ramp project update. The contractor Unicon has been working on the handicap ramp for the past 2 weeks. Dave Peterson will update the board.
Yeah, basically, they gave us a 2-week time frame. They thought they could get it done. We had one rainy day, which they didn't work, and we also had the holiday, so they're gonna get 90% of the work done on tomorrow. Tomorrow, they're gonna have 4 carpenters there. The ramp, on Wednesday, the ramp will be usable the railings won't be in for the wheelchair access, but they'll be able to use the ramp for walkers and people with canes and stuff that have trouble. There's been no difficulty over there. I've checked every day. Project's going well. There's been no complaints from anybody who hasn't been able to get access that needs access. So the Council on Aging has cooperated very well. They canceled the meal today. They'll be having it next week. So basically, it's coming along very well. There will be a delay in replacing the door and the door frame because it has to be ordered. Everybody orders things. Nobody has things in stock anymore. Everything has to be ordered, the way the world works today, so. That's
Okay.
why on number 1 there, we need to replace the door frame for $3,981. We were originally gonna replace just the door, but the whole frame has been there for years and years, and we just would like to do it as a unit. It'll be much neater, much cleaner, and obviously last for a lot longer than doing it piecemeal, so we request that we,
Okay.
okay, the amount of $3,981 for the labor and materials for the door.
Okay, can I have a motion to that
I'll
effect?
give you the motion, Mr.
A
Chairman.
second.
Motion to approve the door frame has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it.
The next one, we're looking for $3,250 for the services of CBI, the architect, to proceed with the administrative services for the ramp. He's been going through, making sure we're getting the right materials. He's, a couple of little change orders like the door frame, he's made sure that he got the contractor to drop the price. So it's well worth it because we don't have the expertise, neither Debbie nor I, even though I go over there every day. They're doing the jobs. I would request that we okay $3,250 for the CBI.
Okay, can I have a motion?
I'll give you the motion.
Motion to approve the request has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it.
Gonna knock the highway down out there at Route 1 in Central and Glen. They're gonna knock it down,
Okay.
have it up here in
Right.
Okay. FY '20 reappointments. Need to discuss FY '20 Selectmen reappointments for the following: Eastern Essex Veterans District, Personnel Advisory Committee, Cannoneer, Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority Advisory Council, Merrimack Valley Planning Commission Representative, Merrimack Valley Planning Commission Alternative Representative, and Zoning Review Committee. So we
Mr. Chairman, when we talk about the Eastern Essex Veterans District, I'd like to continue on that. Also, I want to ask if we could have an alternate to that position.
I'll do the alternate
Be the alternate, Dave?
if you want. I'm a
Appreciate
veteran,
that.
so. You've done a good job there, Bob, by the way, doing that for the
Well, it's
last,
been 7 years. now.
last number of years,
It's
yes.
8 years, I guess, I've been sitting on it.
I think we've been more active in that
We've had some
organization since you've been
problems
there.
trying to get people to come to the meetings.
Yeah.
And we needed a designated alternate.
When do they meet, Bob? Or does it vary?
It varies, and I'm the vice chairman of the board.
If you
Trying
make me
to
the
get
assistant,
a-
call me next time and I'll go with you
Okay,
to get introduced to people.
all right.
'Cause
I'm, this Wednesday night, we have a meeting.
All right, let me see if I can make it, I'll let you know.
All right,
let you know.
okay.
But I mean, assuming I get appointed.
That's assuming I get appointed too.
I'm volunteering, I don't see anybody else
I
holding their hand
nominate
up,
Joe
so-
Parrott, no, I'm kidding. All right, so why don't we ask for a motion for that one then?
I move that we appoint Bob Snow to be the representative to the Essex Veterans District and Dave to be the alternate.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Personnel and
Mr. Chairman, who seconded that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Personnel Advisory Committee?
I've been the chairman of that committee for a number of years. Somebody wants it. I don't think Debbie wants me to get off, but, you know, it's one of those, we've been very active in the last couple of years with the personnel plan, so I'm perfectly happy to continue.
Okay.
Not trying to push anybody else
Have a
out.
motion?
I move that we reappoint Dave.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Cannoneer, that was Bob's.
Yeah, we don't have a licensed cannoneer, so
Well, we can't shoot it
I
anyway.
would suggest that we remove this from the.
No,
No, we
think
need someone in
we
charge
should
of
have
the can.
somebody to have.
We don't, you're never gonna shoot it anyway, so you don't have to be licensed if you're
That's
not
right.
gonna shoot it. You have to be licensed to shoot it.
I think we should have somebody in charge of the cannon, so.
So I think Dina would be a good one to be in charge of it.
I'll do that. I don't have to shoot it, right?
No,
But we have to have this Molly uniform vote. In the Revolutionary War, you have to have a
because I think one of the things we'd like to do, I personally would like to see the cannon come out a little more often for
For the parade next
the
Yeah.
parade
That would
and
be
maybe
great.
even the 4th of July on the,
That would be
on the common
awesome.
for, but that'll be up to the cannoneer, but I mean,
Right.
I think we need to get it out more than what it has in the past.
Okay.
Definitely.
I'll move that we
Right.
appoint Dina as a cannoneer.
I'll second it.
That's our strategic weapon also.
Thank
remember
you.
that.
A motion's been to appoint Dina as a cannoneer has been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority Advisory Council Representative.
I've been doing that for almost a decade now, continue.
Okay, I move, well,
I'll make a motion.
Second.
motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Merrimack Valley Planning Commission Representative and alternate representative.
I've been doing that for 14 some odd years now.
An excellent job too, by the
And
way.
I've been the alternate for 8 years.
I'll make a motion, we appoint Bob the rep and Joe the alternate.
I'll second that.
Okay, Merrimack, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Zoning Review Committee, I've been on that for many years now. In one form or another. Prior to the Board of Selectmen, I was on the planning board representative, but I'll stay on.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, position or board commission member. We have appointments for the Open Space Committee, 1-year term. going to 5 individuals: Sonia Vincola, Brooke Ten Ake, Howard Vogel, Alyssa King, she's co-chair, and Jenna Hagg.
Give me the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. We get position of harbor master for a 1-year term: William Demento, Fred Hardy, David Kent, Frank Price, Jenna Demento.
Give me the
Motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. We have town council for a 1-year term: Thomas Mullen and Judy Pickett.
Give me the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Raleigh Cultural Council, Deborah Strife and Mary Bright.
Give me that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Most, okay.
Second.
Motions have made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Shellfish Constable, Travis Nealon.
Give me that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Aye. Dina?
Gina seconded. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Shellfish Constable, 3 deputies: William Demento, Fred Hardy, and Richard McDonald.
Give me the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Sandy Point Committee member. Do we need a Sandy Point Committee member?
It's always been. And they've responded that they wanted to continue to serve.
Okay.
I'm not sure how active they
I'll give you the motion.
are. We can ask them for a report.
Yes.
Get 2 letters of resignation.
Dave gave you the motion.
Did someone second?
Yeah, I'll give you the motion. Dina?
I'll second that.
Okay. Sandy Point Committee member. Motions have made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Police Department, 3-year term. John Raffi, patrolman; Christopher Cassidy, reserve patrolman; Lucas Tubbs, reserve patrolman; Eric Giordano, reserve patrolman; Tara Bernard, reserve patrolman; Roseanne Ferrante, reserve dispatcher; and Juliana Paulette, reserve dispatcher.
I'll give you a motion.
All those in
Second.
favor? Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Dina, you should
Aye.
probably
I have to recuse
abstain.
myself from the next one.
Well, I would
Yeah, I would.
recommend you just not recuse
For
from all
either?
the police department.
Yeah. Okay.
All the police ones.
I recuse myself from all the police department votes.
Okay. Okay, so the record will show that Dina recused herself. I think we took a vote on that one, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes. Keeper of the Rowley Police Station lockup facility as required under MGL Chapter 40. It's a 1-year term, goes to Scott Dumas.
Make that motion.
Second.
All those in motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, we have 3 budget transfers. The explanation for the first one, there was an extraordinary number of repairs to the annex heating system and leaking condensate pipes. The budget for those repairs is over by $917. Additionally, the cost for town water and bottled water are higher this year than predicted. The transfer of funds for these items is necessary to cover the remaining FY19 expenses for the building.
Give me that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to approve.
Second.
The first request is made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The explanation for the second one is the assistant collector, administrative assistant covers for absences of the treasurer, assistant treasurer. Since she only works 16 hours a week, unexpected sick or vacation days result in a shortfall. Requested by Karen Summit.
I'll give you the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Third one is the air conditioning unit for the basement server room, required an additional repair last month. Additionally, there was electrical work required at Town Hall to relocate an overhead light in the basement that had corroded due to its location near a heating system condensate pipe. Lastly, the electric costs for the year have been higher than in previous years. The transfer of funds for these repairs is necessary in order to cover the remaining FY19 expenses for the building.
Give it a motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes for the May 20th, 2019 Raleigh Board of Selectmen meeting.
Give me a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion's been made and seconded.
I'll second that.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Debbie. We have the property damage release? Is that part of the,
No, you told me that it didn't need to be on the agenda.
okay, oh, I'm
tonight,
sorry, yeah,
To send it to Tom Mullen, and he made
yes,
He made some changes, I think.
Good.
Some more obvious, regarding, the claiming being the Pine Grove School as opposed to the
Yes.
town.
Yes.
And some other, legal language, so if that's okay, I'll send that to Larry Berger.
thank you.
Vacancies, we have 2 vacancies on the Conservation Commission, 1 vacancy on the Zoning Board of Appeals Associate seat, 1 vacancy on the Rowley Municipal Light Board, and several vacancies on the Rowley Cultural Council. Interested residents should send a letter of interest to the Board of Selectmen or call the Selectmen's office at 948-2372. Finally, Independence Day celebration on the Town Common is set for Saturday, June 29th, 2019. Parade starts at 8:30, followed by races, food, and music on the Town Common.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.